Hello friends, today we're going to go over another feature of the TARport website. You can see that we've already logged into www.tarport.com. Over here we're going to click on Research All Counties TMLS Data. We do metrics by quarter. We do all property types. You have the opportunity to do it by zip code and by entire county. We're going to do it by entire county. And if you see the drop down, this is all the counties that TMLS serves. So if you're outside of one of the major counties here, you've got a feature here that will let you determine what's going on with price changes or what's going on with sales and all that stuff. So anyway, here we go. They're done. The table here is that metrics are presented in 90-day increments. That's how I like to look at the market. It takes a lot of the seasonality out of it. As of the day of this recording, it just happens to line up with each of the quarters. This is 1Q23 over here. This is 4th Q. This is 3rd Q. This is 2nd quarter. Top line, we've got number of closed sales. Second line is the absorption rate, which is just the number of closed sales divided by 3. You've got the number of listings, which are on the month at the end of the quarter. And then you take your absorption rate and you divide by the number of listings, and that's what you get your months of housing supply. So you will note that the months of housing supply at the top and the bottom of the table are highlighted in yellow. I do that for a reason, because that identifies the competitive environment in which you are representing your buyer and seller within. For those of you who are not aware, months of housing supply at 3 months or less is indicative of an undersupply of housing. Months of housing supply at 10 months or more is indicative of an oversupply of housing, and there are characteristics of each of those that you need to be aware of. So that's why that is bolded in yellow. The undersupply favors the seller, the oversupply favors the buyer. So other metrics that we've got here, we've got median sales price per square foot, we've got median sales DOM, and then we've got median sales to list price ratio. Let's kind of go over each of them. So this will give you a feel for what's going on from a price standpoint. Now remember, the larger the data set, which is typically the county, the more reflective, indicative of what's really going on in the market is. So if you go back to the 2nd quarter of last year in Wake, the median sales price was $489. 3rd quarter it went to $480, then it went to $470, and then it went just under $455. So you can infer from them that over that 4-quarter period in the county as a whole, now remember, we have a lot of different submarkets, but if you want to look at overall price trends within the county, you can infer that house prices have gone down. That is also mimicked in the median sales price per square foot, which went from $230 to $223 to $215 to $211. The other item that is really indicative of what was going on, if you remember, in the 1st and 2nd quarter of 2022, we had the severe undersupply really resulted in a lot of listings sold well above list price. And so here's our median sales to list price ratio of almost 105%. But you can see as interest rates went up in the 3rd quarter, actually the end of the 2nd quarter of 2022, and then through the 3rd and 4th quarter of 2022, you can see that this ratio went from 104 to 100 to 99.5 to 99.22. So the top table gives you a feel for what is going on in the market over the most recent 4 90-day periods. Now if you go down to the bottom part of the table, it's going to compare the current period with the same period 1 year ago, which is right here, and then 2 years ago. And you can just see in terms of what has happened in number of sales, 4776 to 4232 to 3567. You've got percentage change columns down here. So one of the interesting things that we have going on at the time of this recording is that we have interest rates going up and prices going down, and that also influences the number of settled sales. So all this stuff is really important for you to know from a overall market, so you can take the information that's in this first and foremost for your knowledge, and you can help. You can utilize it with your CMAs, you can utilize it with your buyers, and you can utilize it with your sellers. You can filter the output by square footage, and you can filter it by price range. Now the next aspect of this, we're going to do metrics by price brackets. I'm going to do all price bracket, all property types. We're going to do entire county. Once again, here are all the listings, or here are all the counties that are served by TMLS. You click on View Data. So now what we have here is a grid, and it's broken down in $100,000 segments. We start at $2,000, $200,000 and below, and then $4.5 million and up. So this first column gives you the current status of active. Then we go to number of houses listed, number of houses pending, and then the percentage of pendings, the number of closed listings, the absorption rate, the months of housing supply, the average days on market, and the sales price to the original list price ratio. So all of the dates for these top are down here on these bullet points. And one of the things I like to, the reason that this was developed in the first place is back when we had a lot of inventory. It was very impactful in terms of months of housing supply. You may have had a listing where there was a difference in months of housing supply between one bracket and another, and it was advantageous to price it in either the lower or the higher price bracket, depending on which had the lower months of housing supply. I guess the only one that really works now is this 2.5 to 3 million, which has a 6-month supply. And then if you look at the bracket to the top of it, it's 3 million to 3.5, which has a 12-month supply of housing, which is an oversupply of housing. So if you are doing a CMA and your range of comparables and listings adjusted between let's say 2.9 and 3.1 historically, and the seller would probably agree that you'd want to list it at 3.1. Well, if you list it at 3.1, you're going to go into a bracket that is oversupplied, and if you stay at 2.9, you'll be in a bracket. 6 months is essentially what we call a market that is inbound. So this is how I would use this graph in terms of representing your seller, in terms of picking that correct list price. So hopefully this is a tool that I use a lot, hopefully a tool that you will be using. First and foremost, it's going to help you with your CMAs. Second off, it's going to help you assist your buyers and your sellers with conveying market conditions here, because a lot of them are coming from out of town. So that's all I've got for now for this one, and we will see you later.